Have you ever wondered how you can be the best version of yourself in a relationship? This is a question many people may ask, because deep down, we all want to be loved and appreciated by those around us. But how can we achieve this? We are interested in the truth. We are interested in people, not just internal qualities or achievements. We are truly in our field. Consider every relationship as your job, and you are your own explorer. You want to uncover the hidden treasures of your soul and share it with others. But to do this today leads to a sense of connection, and ultimately love. You need a roadmap. Based on 9 lessons from Stoic philosophy, I will guide you in discovering your value in relationships. So pay attention to what they are, not the empty advice you often hear about empowering yourself in ways you might not think of. You are ready to unlock the secrets to cultivating a life filled with love and meaningful relationships built on mutual respect and inner strength. Now let's start lesson number 1. Finding out what you're really worth. What does Stoicism have to do with finding out what you're worth in relationships? Stoics said to focus on what we can change, and guess what? You have full control over your own sense of self-worth. It's not about how many likes you get on Instagram or if someone likes you back. It's about how you see and value yourself. Imagine that you are a diamond. Some people might walk by a rare gem without understanding how valuable it is, but that doesn't change the gem's value. It's still precious, rare, and one of a kind. That's how you are. Your value doesn't change just because someone misses it. To be honest, we've all been turned down and felt like we weren't good enough, especially in today's world where everyone seems to be doing well. But here's the truth from a Stoic point of view. Your worth doesn't rest on what other people say about you. It comes from how you act and your values. Your true worth comes from the things you do, like being kind, honest, and living in a way that is in line with your values. Stoics believed in thinking about oneself, so take a moment to think about the good things about you. Not just the clear ones, but also the more in-depth ones. When it comes to partnerships, it's important to find strength in what you already know to be true, recognizing your own worth even if no one else does. Remember that this isn't a one-time thing. It's a journey that continues over time. It's about waking up every day and telling yourself that you have value not because of what other people think, but because of the qualities that make you who you are. Lesson 2. Treat yourself with respect. Before you start picturing an atomic as a stern, unmasked figure from ancient times, let me clear the air. Stoicism isn't about hiding your feelings or not caring. It's about knowing what deserves your attention and what doesn't. And guess what? The way you present yourself deserves your attention. So let's talk about what it means to present yourself with dignity in relationships. Have you ever noticed that sometimes we go to great lengths to impress someone, only to lose sight of who we really are? We change how we dress and speak in order to get their approval. But here's the key point, and this is where our calm and wise perspective comes in. Respect is not based on the clothes you wear or the cool places you hang out. It's based on how you act, what you do, and the choices you make. Imagine you're in a classroom watching 2 students give speeches. One student uses big words and gestures to impress the crowd, while the other student keeps their cool and talks naturally and with confidence. Which student do you think leaves the most lasting impression? Usually it's the one who is real and at ease with themselves, isn't it? This shows how important it is to treat yourself with respect. The Stoics, who were known for their ideas about self-control and virtue, stressed how important it was to be honest and treat yourself with respect. How does this relate to dating today? It's simple. Be true to yourself. If you love reading, do it. If you have a strong passion for something, let it show. It's not about pretending to be someone else. It's about being comfortable and sure of who you are and knowing that you are valuable just the way you are. Another important point, treat yourself with respect. How you treat yourself sets the standard for how others will treat you. If you're always criticizing yourself, others will think it's okay to do the same. On the other hand, when you respect yourself, you value your time, energy, and feelings. When you say something, you mean it. I deserve respect and expect to be treated with it. A wise Stoic philosopher once said, "It's not what happens to you that matters in relationships, but how you react to it. It's not just what you say or how you look, it's how you act in different situations. Are you acting with desperation or dignity? Are you giving up your values to fit in, or are you staying true to yourself even if it means being alone? This doesn't need perfection. We all have flaws and feel weird sometimes. What matters is how you handle those times. Are you weak when things get tough, or do you learn and keep going? Let's stop and think about how we can start to treat ourselves with more respect. It could mean making clear limits, or saying no to things that don't fit with our morals. Additionally, it could mean being kind and respectful to ourselves more. If you think you deserve respect, others will start to agree with you. Lesson 3. How to communicate without words. I know this may sound a little old-fashioned or strict at first, but please hear me out. It's not about being hard to talk to. It's about knowing your worth and loving yourself. What does Stoicism say about this? Stoicism teaches us how to stay strong and in control, but not in a boring or strict way. It's about knowing what's important and not giving it away too easily in a world where we want things right away and scroll through social media all the time. When we're in a relationship or just getting to know someone, we often feel rushed to share everything with them. Our time, our space, and our deepest feelings. But Stoics would tell you to take a step back. They say this because when something is always available, it loses its uniqueness. It's just how humans are. If you're always there for someone when they need you, saying yes to everything, where's the fun in that? The puzzle looking forward to, let's talk about how to politely break rules, the tough way. Firstly, it starts with how you look. Dressing stylishly but modestly sends a message that says, I respect myself. You're not hiding who you are, but you're also not revealing everything right away either. It's about finding balance and saying, there's more to me than what you see. Managing your time and focusing is also very important in today's hyper-connected world. Making choices about who gets your time is an important act. It's not about playing games. It's about reminding myself that my time is valuable and that I carefully choose how to spend it. When you're with someone, you should be fully present and involved, but when you're not, it's okay to be unavailable and focus on your own personal growth and life goals. Stoicism also stresses emotional self-mastery. It doesn't support being cold or disconnected. Instead, it promotes keeping a balanced view. This means not letting small things upset you too much. It means keeping your cool and peace. You don't give your emotional energy to everyone. It's something you earn, just like how you choose who gets your time and attention. I'm not saying you should stop caring about other people or act like a stoic statue. We're all human and real relationships are important for a happy life. But there's something special about taking things one step at a time. Pace is about making links that aren't just about getting what you want right away. It's about building deep, lasting relationships that go beyond instant gratification and quick fixes. Setting limits isn't about controlling people or playing games. It's about respecting yourself and staying true to your values. It's about showing that you deserve to be treated with respect, both through words and actions. So let's be a little more selective, composed, and stoic in our relationship approach. It's about finding a balance between being open and careful, between sharing and holding back a bit. And trust me, it has a huge impact on how others see and treat you. Cheers to valuing ourselves and EMB brushing up on our stoicism in today's dating scene. Being ready to walk away is an important part of stoicism. Letting go doesn't mean being distant or uncaring, but understanding what we can change and what we can't. One of the most empowering things we can do is choose whether to stay or walk away from a situation that doesn't support our well-being. This is especially true in relationships. We've all been in a place where we know we deserve better but choose to stay. It could be out of fear of being alone, fear of change, or just holding on to hope for better. This is where stoicism comes in. Real strength comes from knowing that we can stay or leave situations that go against our values and choose a different path. You shouldn't give up when things get tough. Relationships take work, time, and understanding. But it's important to know your values and self-worth so well that you're ready to move on when something fundamentally goes against them. It's about having the inner strength and stoic courage to say, I respect myself too much to settle for less than I deserve. Let's look into this idea more. Being able to leave a situation shows that you respect yourself. It means standing up for what you believe in and knowing what you're worth. Leaving doesn't have to be a big deal all the time. Sometimes it's just a quiet choice, a peaceful understanding that this isn't right for you. I get that not knowing what the future holds can be scary, but remember our Stoic friends. They taught us how to be strong in difficult situations and accept life's unknowns. Understanding that letting go of something that doesn't serve you is sometimes the bravest thing you can do. Having this view can change everything when you're in a relationship, and learn that you're there because it fits your values. Not because you're afraid to leave. This is a game changer. It changes the whole dynamic. You're not staying out of desperation or fear. You're staying because it's your real choice. And that's the important thing. When you bravely leave behind what doesn't serve you, you make room for what does. It's like clearing out the past to make room for the future. It's about believing that better things are waiting for you and giving yourself the chance to find them. Remember that being ready to move on doesn't mean you're cold or heartless. It means you care about yourself enough to say, I deserve something better. It's about being tough when things go wrong and knowing that our worth doesn't rest on other people or things. Lesson 5. Setting boundaries. Stoicism that doesn't say anything stresses how important deeds are over words. The Stoics believed that actions speak louder than words. This is especially true when talking about setting boundaries in relationships. It's one thing to talk about your boundaries. It's much more powerful to show them through your actions. For example, it's easy to say, I won't accept mistreatment, but the real test is whether you'll stick to your word or give in. Where real power lies, not in words but in deeds, I know this isn't easy. It can be hard, especially when you're feeling emotional. But let's remember what the Stoics said. We have the power to decide how to react to things. If someone crosses a line, it's not just your words that set and maintain that line. It's also how you react. Let's say that honesty is one of your core values, and someone lies to you. How you react shows how serious you are about your boundaries. Whether you choose to quietly talk about it or take a step back, your actions show how committed you are to your values. Showing self-respect by acting in a way that is in line with your beliefs is what it's all about. This can make a big difference in relationships. When people see that you have clear boundaries and are willing to enforce them, they get a better idea of what you will and won't accept. It's about developing self-respect and sticking to it. Let us look at a basic idea in a straightforward way. The little things that happen every day are just as important as the big events. How do you behave when plans change at the last minute, or when someone doesn't value you enough? Do you ignore it or calmly let them know that their behavior is not acceptable? Stoic awareness comes in handy here. It means focusing on the present moment and how you react to it. Are your actions in line with your limits? Are you being true to yourself? It's important to pay attention to the little things, because that's when your limits are really put to the test as you go about your day and talk to other people. When we set our limits, let's try to be a little more patient. It's not about being stubborn or unbending. It's about having an inner guide that shapes how we act and react. And trust me, when you take this stance, people start to see you as someone who not only sets limits, but also cares enough about themselves to stick to them. Setting limits is an important part of staying healthy and loyal to ourselves. In the Stoic view, boundaries are not only a way to keep outside forces at bay, but they are also a way to promote inner peace and self-respect. To live a good and satisfying life, the Stoics thought it was important to know and follow your limits. We can handle relationships and life's problems with wisdom and strength if we set clear limits. We will look at how to set and keep limits from a Stoic point of view in this lesson, focusing on 5 key points that can help us with this important task. Know how valuable you are. Understanding self-worth. Stoicism teaches us to see how valuable we are as sensible beings. Setting limits that show self-respect and care for ourselves is easier when we know how much we're worth. We are less likely to put up with disrespect or mistreatment from others when we know how valuable we are. Self-respect and dignity. Marcus Aurelius said that we shouldn't let other people bother us or make us feel less important. When we respect our worth, we set limits that keep our mental and emotional health safe. Figure out your limits, mindfulness, and self-reflection. Think about what you can and cannot stand. To set boundaries that are in line with your values and wants, you need to know what your limits are. Part of this process is figuring out what make mindfulness and self-reflection. Think about what you can and cannot stand. To set boundaries that are in line with your values and wants, you need to know what your limits are. Part of this process is figuring out what makes you tired, stressed, or goes against your values. Put your health and happiness first. Seneca said that we should take care of our mental health and stay away from people or events that cause us unnecessary stress. You can say no to things that make you feel bad when you know your limits. Be clear and firm when you talk. Direct and honest talking. The Stoics believed in talking in a way that was clear and makes sense. It's important to be clear and firm about your needs and limits when setting boundaries, without being mean or saying sorry. This makes it easier for others to understand what you want and builds respect between people. Enforcement that is consistent. Epictetus said that we should always follow our beliefs. Setting and sticking to limits means being firm about them, even when other people try to push us or resist. Respect the limits of others. When we set limits for ourselves, we should also accept the limits that others set for them. Stoicism stresses how important it is to be fair and do the right thing. For relationships to be healthy and respectful, both people must be aware of and accept each other's limits. Empathy and understanding. Being aware that everyone has their own wants and limits helps us treat others with kindness. We build an atmosphere of trust and respect by staying within each other's limits. Practice being separate from the results. Focus on what you can control. The Stoics say that we should pay attention to what we can change. When we set limits, we need to stop caring about how other people react. Setting and sticking to our limits is our job. We can't control how other people react to them. Embrace inner peace. Marcus Aurelius said that our peace of mind shouldn't count on approval or validation from other people. By practicing detachment, we can stay calm, even if other people don't accept or respect our limits. Setting and sticking to limits is an important part of being a Stoic because it helps us protect our health and ideals. We can handle our relationships and problems with knowledge and honesty. If we know our worth, know our limits, communicate clearly, treat others with respect, and don't get attached to the results. Following these rules will help us live a good life with inner peace, which is what Stoicism teaches us. Lesson 6. What you do says more than what you say. As we've learned, Stoicism is about using common sense. It means judging people by what they do, not just what they say. In our world, a lot of people say nice things but don't do what they say. This is especially true in relationships. Stoics tell us to look past the charm and focus on actions instead, because actions reveal what is truly real. Think about this. It's easy for someone to say everything perfectly and paint a picture of a future that seems flawless. But are they actually doing what they say? Are their actions supporting their words? That's where the truth lies. Let's be honest. Haven't we all met someone who said amazing things and we were enchanted? But as time goes on, their actions don't match their words. They promise to call, but don't. They make plans but cancel at the last minute. But we still believe what they said. This is when our Stoic side must take over. Stoicism tells us not to let words or feelings change our minds. When someone's actions don't match their words, that's a warning sign. It's like the universe is telling you, hey, pay attention, something isn't right here. This way of thinking changes how you deal with relationships. Instead of letting promises and sweet words sweep you away, you start to pay attention to little things, like how they act. When you pay attention to what people do instead of just what they say, you set a standard. You're telling them, I'm not just listening to your words, I'm watching your actions. And that really makes an impact. They realize they can't just talk their way into your life. They have to prove they're genuine and worthy of your trust. But remember, this isn't about being negative or doubting everyone. It's about being smart, about protecting your feelings with a dose of Stoic insight. This means not letting your emotions get the best of you. It means staying grounded. So let's remember to pay attention to actions rather than just words. Let's approach love with a Stoic mindset, being logical, observant, and thoughtful because actions speak louder than words in the end. Lesson 7. Developing a healthy skepticism. Stoicism and reality go hand in hand. Stoics believed that we should see things as they really are, not how we want them to be. This way of thinking can help us in love and dating. When someone says all the right things, we want to believe them, even if there are red flags we choose to ignore. This is where adopting a Stoic mindset can be helpful. Being appropriately skeptical is like having a superpower. It means staying realistic and not accepting everything without question. It means being aware, asking questions, and not rushing into things without giving them some careful thought. Let's say you meet someone new and they seem great. They say lots of nice things and even talk about a future together, but it's only been a short time. Your skeptical Stoic mind would tell you to take it easy, see if their actions match their words, and watch how things go. Skepticism isn't about asking a lot of questions or doubting everything the other person does. Instead, it's about being thoughtful. It means not only listening to what they say, but also watching what they do. It means taking the time to really understand someone, to see if they're honest and consistent. The Stoics stressed using logic and reason in relationships instead of letting your emotions take over. This is important because when our emotions take over, we may miss important details. But when we combine them with skepticism and logical thinking, we can see things more clearly. And here's another important thing. Keeping a bit of skepticism is a way to protect your heart. When you're not rushing into something without knowing for sure, you give yourself a chance to understand the other person's true nature instead of putting your own wants onto them. That's why it's important to have a little Stoic skepticism. It's about being smart, paying attention, and not letting our feelings take over. It's about keeping ourselves and our emotional health safe. It's not about shutting down, but about taking new chances with careful thought and wisdom. Today, when news sites and social media are full of information, it's important to learn how to be skeptical. Skepticism is not the same thing as doubt or cynicism. Skepticism is the act of questioning the truth and validity of information before taking it as true. By doing this, we can make smarter choices, avoid being manipulated, and gain a deeper knowledge of the world around us. This lesson is based on Stoic philosophy, which stresses the value of judgment and critical thinking. It teaches how to develop a healthy skepticism, figure out what skepticism is. A balanced way of questioning knowledge is part of healthy skepticism. It's about keeping an open mind while judging what we see and hear critically for its truth and reliability. This is not the same as pessimism, which rejects everything, or gullibility, which believes everything without question. When reading about a major scientific finding, a skeptic doesn't just brush it off. They look for ways to confirm the sources, see if there have been any peer reviews, and understand the research methods before coming to a conclusion. Who is the source? What proof is there for this claim? Does anyone have a bias or a conflict of interest? Look for different points of view. Don't just trust one source. Look at material from a number of trustworthy places. Check out the information's source. An important part of information's reliability is often where it came from. Sources that you can trust are usually clear about how they do things, have a history of being reliable, and are known by their peers. Most likely, a health piece from a peer-reviewed medical journal is more reliable than one from a blog written by someone who isn't an expert. Being aware of the differences in the quality of these sites helps you make smart choices. Check your credentials. Find out about the authors or publishers' past and why they are qualified. Analyze intent. Think about what the knowledge is meant to do. Is it to teach, sell, or convince? Look at the proof. Strong evidence leads to strong opinions. This proof needs to be clear, fair, and easy to repeat. Skeptics look at the evidence to see if it backs up the claims and see if there is a reasonable link between them. If a company says their product makes health much better, look at the studies they use to back you up. Are these works from well-known universities? Are the results the same in all the studies that have been done? Cross-check facts and figures with sources you can trust. Question mistakes in reasoning. Watch out for opinions that are based on feelings instead of facts. Keep cognitive biases in mind. Cognitive biases, which are regular mistakes in the way we think that affect our choices and judgments, often change how we see things. Being aware of these biases helps us stay objective and keeps us from taking information that only backs up what we already think. Confirmation bias means that we tend to ignore evidence that goes against what we already believe. Knowing this can help us look for a fair point of view. Challenge assumptions. Consciously look for knowledge that goes against what you think. Motives. Think about why you might want one piece of information more than another. Keep an open mind and be humble. To be skeptical in a healthy way, we need to be willing to consider new ideas and have the self-control to admit when we are wrong. There needs to be a balance between being skeptical and ready to learn and change our minds based on new, reliable knowledge. Skeptics might not believe in a new way of teaching at first, but they are willing to change their minds if they are given strong, well-supported proof. Stay curious. Read and think about what you're reading with a real desire to comprehend and learn. Admit when you're wrong. Be ready to change your mind when new, solid proof comes along. Having a good sense of doubt is helpful for figuring out how to live in this complicated world. Being skeptical, judging sources, looking at evidence, being aware of our own biases, and keeping an open mind are all things that can help us avoid false information and make better, more well-thought-out choices. Stoic philosophy tells us to think and ask questions, which helps us understand the world and ourselves better. Don't use your doubt as a cover. Instead, use it as a lens to see things clearly and wisely. Lesson 8. Being able to say no with confidence and stoicism. It's important to be true to yourself and your ideals. This is especially important when it comes to relationships, because it means being clear about your beliefs and not being afraid to stick to them, even if it causes problems. For example, if you're in a relationship and your partner suggests doing something that doesn't feel good to you, it could be moving too quickly or asking you to do something that goes against your values. It might seem like the simple choice, but this is where your tough mentality comes in handy. Saying no in these situations is all about respecting yourself, your beliefs and your limits. The little voice in your head keeps telling you that this isn't easy. It can be really hard, especially if you care about the person. They whisper, what if telling them no makes them not want to talk to you? But here's the thing, we need to get brave. Stoicism isn't just about dealing with problems in the outside world, it's also about dealing with problems inside our own heads. Being able to say no with confidence shows that you value yourself and won't settle for less than what you deserve. Of course, there's a chance that you could lose them, but that's not the point. If turning down something that goes against your values makes them leave, then maybe they weren't the right person for you in the first place. Taking this approach can truly transform the dynamics of a relationship. When someone realizes that you're unafraid to say no and that you won't compromise your values just to please them, it changes how they see you. It demonstrates that you have self-respect and that you value yourself. And let me tell you, that's incredibly appealing. And here's another Stoic perspective: saying no isn't just about establishing boundary with others. It's also about being truthful with yourself. It's about recognizing your genuine desires and needs in a relationship and sticking to them. It's about not allowing the fear of loneliness to push you into decisions that aren't aligned with your true self. Let's pause and reflect on this. Let's affirm that saying no is not just acceptable but essential. It's about staying authentic to ourselves, living with integrity, as the Stoics emphasized. It's about nurturing relationships founded on mutual respect and sincere connection rather than fear and concession. Lesson 9, never chase, always value. This fits well with everything we've been talking about, especially when we look at it from a calm point of view. Stoicism tells us to focus on what we can change and let go of what we can't. When we think about relationships, this idea is very powerful because it helps us understand that chasing after someone who is going away from us is not only pointless, but it also goes against knowing our own worth. Think about this situation. We've all been in relationships where things seemed great at first, But then the other person started pulling away. Our first instinct is to run after them to try to bridge the gap. But Stoicism can help us do the right thing. Stoics would ask, why are you chasing something that you can't control? The answer lies in your self-worth, your dignity, and your inner peace. Chasing after someone who is pulling away is like trying to catch water in your hands. It doesn't work and makes you feel empty. Instead, the Stoic way tells you to stand firm in your self-worth. If someone is moving away from you, let them go. It's not about being cold or unfeeling. It's about realizing that you can't control how other people feel or act, but you can control how you react. Let's face it, this isn't easy. It takes a lot of inner strength to resist the urge to check up on someone. It's believing that if someone really values you, they'll show it. It's refusing to let someone else's behavior affect you. Define your worth. It makes you feel good. If you believe that you deserve respect, then someone else will. This way of thinking changes everything. It gives you back control over your emotions and actions. You're not dependent on other people's decisions. It's freeing and empowering. And here's the best part. When you stop chasing after other people and start investing in yourself, your life, and your growth, wonderful things happen. You naturally attract people who are drawn to your strength, confidence, and self-worth. It's like sending a message that says, I value myself and I'm aware of it. So let's remember this lesson. We don't have to chase after others. Instead, let's have a stoic attitude in our relationships, respect ourselves, and focus on what we can control. It's about discovering inner peace within ourselves, not seeking validation from others. As we come to the end of our conversation today, I want you to hold on to something very important in the vast canvas of life. Your self-worth is like the brightest thread that binds everything together. Just like the Stoics believed, you can decide how you respond to what happens around you. Don't forget, you are in control of your own honor and self-esteem. Embrace your inner strength. Let your actions, decisions, and limits reflect the amazing person you are. And if you ever doubt yourself, recall this moment and the Stoic wisdom we've discussed. Life isn't just something you endure. It's an opportunity to evolve, becoming stronger and wiser each day. If you enjoyed our chat today, why not explore further? Take a look at our playlist displayed on the screen. It's packed with more insights, stories, and tips designed to help you navigate life with greater wisdom and confidence. Go ahead, click on it, and let's keep moving forward on this journey together. Thank you for joining me in this conversation. Always remember, you're not navigating this journey alone. We're all figuring it out together, one step, one day at a time. Until our next video, please be careful, stay smart, and keep accepting your inner calm.